Hi, I'm Billy Smith, Assistant Director of the Helmerich Center for American Research at Gilcrease Museum. You probably know that Gilcrease is home to a phenomenal collection of art, but did you know that it also houses an archive of roughly 100,000 rare books, maps, and documents from across the vast history of the Americas? One particular treasure from our archives that I'd like to share with you today is an original letter from Thomas Jefferson dated July 1st, 1776. Like history generally, Jefferson's letter sheds light on the most pressing issues of his time, while also speaking to us in the present. Jefferson wrote this letter at a moment when the imperial crisis with Britain was at its breaking point, and the push for revolution was heating up in the summer of 1776. In the midst of crisis and uncertainty, the final decision for war fell to the Second Continental Congress. Jefferson, who was then residing in Philadelphia at the time, was the convention's youngest delegate at age 33. His reputation as a gifted writer had earned him the task of drafting a written statement for independence, which he had just submitted on Friday, June 28th. While he waited to receive word about his declaration, Jefferson received a letter from an old friend in Virginia, William Fleming. In response, Jefferson wrote his reply to Fleming, his former college roommate at William and Mary during the 1760s. In the letter, which you can view in our online collections, Jefferson mentions the challenges facing the Revolution, including a lack of money, a failed expedition in Canada, an outbreak of smallpox, and a conspiracy to assassinate George Washington, known as the Hickey Plot. But still, Jefferson remained optimistic, hoping that better days were ahead of them, and he let Fleming know that Virginians would soon, as he put it, have my political creed in the form of a declaration, which I was lately directed to draw. Reading this letter from the vantage point of 2020 can make it easy for us to miss the fear, homesickness, and uncertainty that Jefferson and others felt in those early days of the Revolution. Where we might see the globally famous Declaration of Independence, Jefferson saw a draft essay that might not be approved. Where we see a revolution that would be ultimately won, Jefferson saw only the beginnings of a war plagued with difficulties. Where we see the incomparable George Washington, Jefferson saw a fragile leader surrounded by potential enemies. Putting ourselves in his shoes and trying to squint forward with him into the unforeseeable future can help us grasp the emotions of his time. It can also help us empathize from across the centuries as we too face uncertain and trying days ahead. Yet one thing we can learn from this letter is the necessity and comfort of friendship. Jefferson and Fleming had been pen pals for 14 years before this letter, and would continue their friendship through letters for a total of 50 years. It is difficult to underestimate the profound comfort of a word from a friend or a loved one, especially in difficult times. So as we do our best in our own times to stay together by staying apart, we can pick up our pens or our phones and catch up with an old friend.